Hello and welcome to the Temple at Homes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is August 22nd, 2021, and this is episode 398. Moths is what we're going to take a look at today. This comes out from Awa Upshot. It is issue number 3 of 6. Comes in at a whopping $3.99 and it's rated teen. Now, this is going to be a recommend. It is not an action-packed comic by any means. It is very interesting and it is well produced and it's well written, so I am giving it a recommend. Now, we'll take a quick look at the cover here. We've got Emily, our main character, who's acting like Vishna here. And I just want to say that she doesn't have 6 arms and she is not portrayed as nude in this book at all. So if you're thinking that's kind of what's going on, it's just a very stylized drawing showing her doing her interpretation of musical moves, and this is to appeal to certain audiences. Okay, so let's it's a very nice cover. I like that the work of filling in some of the negative spaces with just a touch of something. Overall, it shows a lot of movement. Just very nice. Now, this is, like I said, this is not going to be the action-packed comic that I usually review. Fun action. It's actually kind of a slow burn, but I do think it's well done, and it is interesting enough to include in my repertoire of reviews here. So let's take a quick look to see who has worked on this. Moths, 4th month. There's going to be 6 issues. The first one was 6 months. This is 4th month. Once it's a transformation thing where they morph into a being that has a special ability. It could be a superhero. It could be something very small. But if they choose to do so, then they only live for 6 more months. So it's one of these, burn brightly, die quickly type thing. So the writer on this is J. Michael Straczynski. Mike Choi is the artist and cover artist, and the letterer is Sal Cipriano. And what we have here is kind of like this show going on with these different moths, let's put them at moths, and they entertain audiences because they all have these special abilities. Now, for Emily, her ability is to make people feel what she is feeling. And so what is going on here is after show, they bring in these people that have these disabilities, and she does a dance performance using all these different types of music for these people. So you have people that are crippled, they're paralyzed, or they're blind. And as she goes through her dances, interpreting the music that she feels within herself, like the blind can actually see what she's seeing, the paralyzed can actually feel in their limbs, like they're dancing, just that kind of type of thing. And in the audience is this young man named Nathan, who is just super captivated. He has brought his paralyzed mother to the performance, and he instantly falls in love with Emily. So after the show, he makes an attempt to contact her and just say that, hey, if you want to meet me, I'm going to send a rose a day after 7 days. If you don't, the last message I'll send will have my name and number, and if I don't hear from you, I will not, then I'll not, I know that you do not want to meet me. So in the meantime, after the show, Emily is back at her apartment with some other folks here. Some of them I do believe have become moths, and some haven't. But she gets a visitor at the door. I can't remember what her name is, if she actually says who her name is, but she is kind of a herald for Emily, who suddenly appears in the room. And the reason she's a herald, she doesn't want to freak people out with just Lisa showing up. So Lisa is the person here. She's asking Emily to go to Belarus and help stop a civil war. There's a lot of people that want to leave the country, and the soldiers are banding together to stop them. So they kind of sneak her out of the country. Meanwhile, the roses start appearing, and when Emily leaves, there are actually 2 roses have been delivered. So this is kind of like the slow burn. As she makes her way to Russia, she gets ready to do her thing, and she is able to, I don't want to say sedate the soldiers, but just get them feeling what the people are feeling so they don't open fire and the people are able to pass by the soldiers to leave the country safely. And this all happens within probably a 5-day period. And so she is thinking about Nathan at this point. And when she gets back, and she's probably kind of forgotten because it's taken her a while to do this whole thing, go to Belarus and whatnot. And she sees that there are 7 roses on the bed. And she reacts very quickly, calls him. He says, I was just ready to get rid of this phone. I'm glad you called. And that's kind of where we left it. So just a very interesting story. I'm not sure where it's going to take. I really liked issue 2 much more than this issue. Issue 1 I felt was kind of the weakest, but it was drawn so nicely and the writing was so tight that I decided to stay with it. So it is a pretty easy read, nothing too demanding, but it does take into account, what should I say, that you got to be a little spiritual, kind of almost supernatural to think in these terms. Now, according to the author, this does tie in with his Resistance series somehow. So I never read J. Michael Straczynski's Resistance series. Resistance, I'm not sure which arc he's on now, but supposedly this may be a tie-in. Okay, let's see what else is being brought out by our upshot. I forgot there. Not All Robots. I have given this a recommend. Issue 2 goes on sale September 8th. I really enjoyed the first issue. I thought it was really intriguing. I like where it's going. It's kind of, and I've been actually watching all these series on Netflix about robots interacting with them. I think I saw a Russian one called Better Than Us. I saw an English one, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. Boy, it's got Gemma Chan in it. That's all I can think of. I can't think of the name though, but it's been pretty good too. So this is kind of along those lines, almost iRobot, but not quite that, getting to that kind of science fiction sophistication. Okay, so let's move on to our next one. Here we go. The Resistance Uprising, another J. Michael Straczynski. This is supposedly Straczynski, supposed to be kind of a tie-in with the Resistance series, and this is a 6-issue series. Issue 5 on sale this month. I guess next week. And move along here. So you can see this art is just beautiful. The coloring, Mike Choi did a really nice job on this. It's just really polished. And boy, they gave you a couple ads real quick. Then we have issue 4 coming out from Moths. That's going to be the cover. 6 months is a lifetime. So that's kind of the catchphrase for this. Then we've got some scenes from the next book coming up next month. And we got the trade for Chariot. This is going to continue on. We did give this a recommend for the first 6 issues. I'm not going to continue on because I've got like some other new stuff I'm reading at the moment. Telepaths, another J. Michael Straczynski book coming. First issue's coming out September 1st, so you have that to look forward to. And finally, this is the rundown for our upshot for the month. Not All Robots, recommend. Moths, recommend. I reviewed the first 2 issues of Marjorie Finnegan. I loved the first issue. The second issue I thought was very insulting, so I'm out on that. The Resistance Uprising, I think I've read 1 issue of this, the very, very first issue, and I thought it was pretty decent. But I haven't read anything since, so I can't really tell you too much about that. Fight Girls, I saw it in the store. It just didn't interest me. I kind of did a quick flip through, so I just passed on it. So I can't give you a recommend or not recommend on that one at all at this time. So let's go ahead and award Moths, the Indie Comics Jones Good Excavating Seal of Approval, given out only by Indie Comics Jones on this particular channel, except no substitutions. Thanks for stopping by and listening to my review. As always, please like, please subscribe, please leave comments. I'm going to try to knock out a few more reviews before I take off on Tuesday for my vacation, week-long vacation. I don't know if I'll be able to get any reviews in during that time. I don't know if I'm going to bring a computer along. So we'll see you next time at the Temple of Tomes. This is Indie Comics Jones bidding you adieu.